You are listening to Required Listening, the weekly show for and by web students and teachers.
You're listening to Required Listening, the weekly show for and by web students and teachers, the official podcast of DeBrook.org. The learner gets taught in the classroom, resources specific to students and teachers, and the latest web news. This is Required Listening, episode 36. Special shout out to Wistia for supporting this show.
Wistia!
What's up, everyone? I'm your host, Kyle Cotter, student, freelancer, owner of Cotter Interactive, as well as runner of ehash.com, the expression engine news stream. Joining me, as always, is webucator and freelancer Mr. Zach Gordon.
Hey there, folks.
Zach teaches the web here at Springbrook High School and at Montgomery College, as well as the proud owner of Wide Sky Web, Rockville, Maryland's leading web design and development firm.
Yes, sir.
So it's just us today. Unfortunately, yeah. And we're going to kind of do a recap of what's happened in the past 5 or 6 episodes. But before we do that, let's get started with keeping current in the class.
All right.
And it's Friday, so I think we need this. So in keeping current in the class is where we highlight what Mr. Gordon is doing in the classes he teaches at Montgomery College and Springbrook High School. So start off with web design here at Springbrook.
Sure, the web design folks are at the point where this Friday was their deadline to have final sign-off on their site. So when we came back from spring break, actually, it's not just Friday, it's spring break Friday.
Sorry,
So the idea was that they would have final sign-off today from their clients, and a number of them are there, and then a number of them are just waiting and haven't heard back from clients. So it's sort of that final push and talking to them about how do you email a client about getting that final sign-off, getting the stuff you need. So that's where they are.
Get sign-off went out of business.
Get sign-off went out of business, and we're struggling to keep it going. No, but that's all going really well. Web devies, I would assume you would ask about them next.
So what's going on in the web development classes?
So in the
which
web
actually
development
we have right
class
behind us.
at can we just get a shout out
Say hi,
on the air?
Web Devies.
Web Devies, say what's up, folks.
What's up, folks?
So we're actually recording live in class for web development.
And
So what they're doing is they're doing their ongoing client projects as always, but they also have started doing a little bit of JavaScript and jQuery, and you can check that out online. We have all the videos for that up and rolling.
at Montgomery College. What's up there?
Montgomery College, after the midterm is when we do JavaScript, jQuery, server-side languages, PHP. Hey Query. So yeah, we did a week of JavaScript and then a week of Hey Query, and last night we did the jQuery, and all pretty good. I actually went through the entire docs and actually talked about jQuery. I think finally getting comfortable on how do you teach it, how do you present it, what does jQuery do, what does it not do, when do you introduce plugins, and I felt really good about that, and again the videos for that should be up and online in the next week or two thanks to Thrasher.
Oh.
And Wistia. Thrasher and Wistia, it's a perfect combination.
TW.
What?
In the internship, or in my standings right now, I'm working completely on ehash, trying to get version 2 up there. So HTML5, jQuery. I'll speak louder, okay?
Okay.
HTML5, jQuery, and a whole bunch of goodness with expression engine and Git. Putting it on. I think that's going to wrap up what's current in the class, or what's current, in the class. Let's move on to webucation. What?
Okay.
The song's over. Shall we start this over again?
Let's just hear it again.
That's not.
Oh,
and webucation, what is where we highlight what's... What?
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 Where we highlight a topic specific to webucation. In this case, we're going to interview web devies, I believe.
Well, I think...
or am I just reading
I think
that wrong?
what we were thinking of doing is we'd go back and we'd look briefly at
that's
what
I thought,
did the
but I'm
folks
just reading
do.
the script.
Yeah, no, don't. We know reading the script will just only get us in trouble. On this
So in this week's webucation, we're going to kind of go over a recap of what's happened in the past 5 episodes with the Pros Education series.
Hey!
And pardon the interruption, folks.
Sorry, folks.
Do we edit?
No, let's keep rolling.
Okay. So we're going to start. We're going to recap what's happened. Starting with Flinger, Mrs. Flinger, fling-a-ding-ding-wing.
Yep. So let's break it down for the folks. Flinging, what was her background at school?
I believe it was nutrition and food.
That's correct. And how did that impact her today? Is that playing a big role?
She's a health freak. I mean,
Ellis Lab is all made up of vegans. That's the impact that that's had.
No, I don't think it was directly related, but, she's glad she did what she did. She'd do it again.
And her advice on what young folks should do in terms of going to college, yes, no,
Yes.
what programs to do, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Did she specify what she suggested?
If you know you're into what you're doing now and you want to do it, definitely go to computer-oriented school. I believe that's what she talked about.
Yep, and she did a graduate program.
She did
Yeah.
for computer science, or she taught computer science too, I believe.
Correct,
Or some
correct.
sort of computer-related teaching.
So, Flinger, we salute you. Very cool. Thank you for coming on.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
Mrs. Flinger. Get it right.
Fling a day. Do it how I want to.
Next up, we had Jacob Russell.
Jacob Russell, that's right,
Yes.
from Devotee.
From Devotee.
From Devotee, that's right. Love the folks at
And-
Devotee.
He was a great guest to have on. He gave us a lot of EE insider.
He was one of the few guests that actually had a background, though, in anything related to web design,
yes,
right?
Yes, he. I remember what he was.
I think it was
in
computer
Java
science.
and computer
Yeah,
science.
and he knew going into college that he wanted to do web design, so that was kind of a unique case. And did he encourage other folks to sort of follow that path as well? Yeah.
Yes. I think all our guests kind of encouraged you to go to, except the one who wasn't in a position to offer advice.
Well, let's talk about it. The one, the young, the only, the ladies love him. Dan Philbin.
What's his name?
Dan Philbin.
Now Dan is owner of co-owner of WP Coder, and we had him on the show to talk about, well, what are your plans after high school? And his advice was, or his plans, because he can't really give advice because he's in the situation that we're talking about.
Sure.
Was go move down to Miami and run his company, screw college. Improvising the wording.
Yep.
Which I might have to agree with him on that, but that's because, well. Anyway,
It was interesting that our one guest that did, say take the alternate path.
was the one who hadn't been through it yet.
That hadn't been through it. But he was also very quick to point out, as everybody did, that this is not the path for everybody. There are
Exactly.
some rare exceptions of people that could do this, of people that could do this path, and he talked about, being practical, having the money saved up, being ready to really make moves. So that was cool.
After that came Matt
Next we
Weinberg
had Matt Weinberg from
Vector Media Group.
Vector Media Group up in the big NY. Awesome. And his background was in music and business at NYU. So not directly relating, but he said it gave him a lot of time to work on freelancing and stuff outside of school.
Yeah, and I liked his e-commerce insight too, which we got on the side. Is e-commerce out? He was in e-commerce. That's what he does. That's his specialty.
I don't remember his
You
advice.
were no. He was just his talk at EECI.
Oh, at EECI, yes. No, it was
Molded
huge.
you, shaped you
It
into
basically
into
scared
e-commerce.
me, and I realized how much I need to step up in the security world.
And after Matt Weinberg came the one and only Mr. David DeSandro.
Oh, that was awesome! Big flip D, man, right here on the client couch. It was cool to have him
in person, live. No.
And he actually asked
virtualization.
us to remind future guests that if they do not come in and interview in person, that they just aren't meeting the bar.
So Kenny, when we have you on in the next few weeks, you can afford that first class.
San
ticket
Fran to
working for-
DC, that's.
I'm
should
sure
be easy
Facebook
for
can
them.
cover you a ticket.
Yeah, they have jets, don't they?
And that was our.
Oh, well, and DeSandro's background was he had, the background in communication, which was cool and kind of relates a little bit. But then he did
Then he
the
went
degree
back.
at CDIA and did a certificate just for web design.
Because he then realized he wanted to do that.
Correct. And he said, if you really know what you're doing and you just want to get a job, that one of these technical or vocational or web design specific programs might be something that's helpful. Although I think he summed up what everybody said, which is you go to college for the life experience.
Yep.
And the growing and the partying, and then
Here, Caitlin.
the web design sort of, you either learn it on your own or you
Yes.
study a specific program. So overall, huge thanks to all the guests for coming on, and it was really fun having them and learning from them, right?
It was indeed, and it was fun to get to talk to them in person.
Yeah?
Do you know what time it is?
What time is it?
It's time to keep current in the web world.
What?
And thank you, Kick Awesome, sir, for that.
Alrighty there, that was ripped completely.
Off what? Kick Awesome.
Moving on.
This show's Kick Awesome. Time to keep current in the web world. Viga to Inspire, wireframes worth their weight in gold? I think so.
Got it up right here. Let's Yeah, actually, cool to see something from Ethan over at Viget talking about how he will never start in Photoshop and the benefits of designing and wireframing, and he actually has some of his cool wireframes up there, so I'd go check that out. It's always cool to see the rough sketch to the nice wireframe to the final mock-up.
Yes, and my rough sketch definitely looked rough.
Yes. So, we love the folks up there at Viget. In other news, have you heard of Ace Project?
I have not.
Ace Project seems to be a quote-unquote free, meaning that they have a free option that's going to be limited, and
It's in the bottom left.
You could pay for more features if you like, but it looks like a sort of enterprise-level project management, document manager, reporting, collaboration, timesheet, all of that you would imagine to be in there, and it's very high level. I'd say it's like Basecamp maybe squared.
Is it well designed?
It looks like enterprise software. So, you get what you expect there, and their site kind of looks a little enterprisey, but I hadn't heard of it before and just saw that pop up, so.
In other news, the EE podcast is no longer on 5x5. That's worth mentioning here because we are obviously an EE podcast. Well, we're not an EE. Oh,
is this
sorry.
the EE podcast?
No.
No?
Leia Alcantara, let's call her that.
Lele?
Is the proud owner. She took over that. So.
Hey, congratulations to Leia, because
look forward to seeing what comes
it's
out
been
of
cool
that.
watching her come a long way. I remember meeting her at EECI, seeing this take off after, and she's really stayed with it, and we respect that.
Yep.
Yep.
So, congrats to them, and what else we got in store for the people's watching?
All right, there's something new from, let's see, the Stuff and Nonsense on the
320 and Up project?
320 and Up project from none other than, can you just grab that Andy Clark book right there?
You mean the one sitting next to my desk?
And enjoying
every day?
This one right here. And Andy Clark has a new project, 320 and Up, which is another CSS framework grid system for starting with small design sites, so something mobile, something small frame, and then building up from there. So we need more CSS frameworks, right? I actually like them, and we're sort of moving beyond the days of the 960 grid, so we've got this new genre of them coming out.
Way to steal my recommends. This book.
The 960? The book. Okay. Well, we can come back to the book.
Okay. Web Designer Wall is a great resource, by the way. What did you find there?
Web Designer Wall, this is a very
redesigned
simple
it.
feature. They did, and if you haven't seen Web Designer Wall's redesign, it's I like it. What they have is an article on how to have a back to top button fade in once you start scrolling down the page, and then it slides you up. So a little tutorial, little demo, and I think really, on content-rich sites, you got to have that.
Yes.
It's almost like required to make it subtle, make it visible though, and that's a helpful feature for people.
New project on the scene is, what's it called? What's your project called?
My project?
Yes, your project. Bucket something?
Oh, Interact Bin. Interactb.in.
Sorry, I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
And I think it's let me put it this way, it's the drop shadows for dummies.
In other web news, we were talking about Matt Weinberg and e-commerce. Smashing Bag did something on what you need to know about accepting credit card payments online, and I'd suggest everybody go check that out. It should be pretty basic stuff, but things like payment gateways and getting set up with all that, and they talk about what is the difference between a card and the checkout process, and when does it get payment. So good thing for e-commerce out there for those folks interested in that.
You know what's big?
What's big?
The big web show.
The Big Web Show. Dude, did you hear that the Big Web Show did an interview, and I don't remember the guy's name, but the topic was, we're gonna pull up his name here, but the topic was all about mobile design and whether you should be thinking about mobile design in that sense or incorporating into a responsive sense, or the different other options with that, and sort of the myth of what is a mobile website. Tim Murtaugh, and where's he from? Does it say? Do we get a little bio down below there?
Thank you. He is in fact a cool dude.
He's Tim Murtaugh.
He's
Yeah. So go check that out. You're still listening to the Big Web Show, right, folks?
right.
That's me.
Big Z Dog.
Z-Dog, grand happy of the web himself there. Can I talk about another article related to responsive design and sort of media stuff? On line25.com, they have a really great showcase of responsive websites. And I could say that even when I started teaching and preparing for this semester, there were not a whole lot of examples of responsive websites, and just in the number of months, we've really seen them take off, and very, very cool examples. You gotta go check this out. And I'll say that one of them that really stuck out to me was a guy who I hadn't heard of before, Joni Korpi. And he's a Finnish designer, and he's also the guy behind the LESS framework, which is another CSS adaptive framework for CSS. And he's got a really cool site. It's responsive. Just thought it was a great design. And go check out that article at line25.com and their showcase of outstanding responsive websites, because it's really cool stuff, and those are some great examples of them to get you inspired, spurred.
Nice. CSS3 buttons are obviously being used on a more daily basis because CSS3 is capabilities are amazing. What resource did you find highlighting those?
I'm
buttons?
a big fan of Web Resource Depot Depot, Vitamin, Vijay. And they have like 9 or 10 different CSS3 buttons, and they're all looking nice. And what I'd suggest is just go download 1 or 2 of these, save it into your resources folder, and then anytime you need to have a nicely styled CSS3 button, you got it right in there. Just copy and paste the code and keep on rocking.
Yeah, that's also a great topic for our next show, or a show, workflow and how people do their work.
I like that idea. I like that. We should do that.
That's why we're recording this, so we can remember this.
Yeah.
I don't think we have time for any more news, so I think it's time for a Think Vitamin update.
Alrighty. Kick Vitamin.
The Kick Awesome show has been temporarily, it hasn't been out in a while, so I figured we'd give it a tribute.
I like it.
Think Vitamin update.
Think Vitamin.
Vitamin.
Treehouse. Treehouse. Treehouse.
Tree.
As they say down in Texas. All right, so what do we got from the folks at Think Vitamin? They have their master class that's out, and I'd go check it out. We talked about that before. But they, keeping in theme with everything else, they've got more videos on their responsive design series. So they had some before that were really good, and now they've got a few more videos. What else do we have from them? We've got, they're continuing their icon design and talking about how to do that, as well as some more Rails stuff. I think they have two or three more videos on the active method for.
You can find some really
Rails.
cool gems in there.
Oh!
I'll be here all week.
That was great.
I dig your shirt, Mr. Gordon. Would you enlighten me where you got that from?
Well, this shirt right here is one and only from the Student Web Conference 2010. 11.
What?
2011.
Let's
Can
go.
I get another what for the Student Web Conference?
What?
All right.
Looks a little ghetto.
Hand tagged, you know it's ghetto because it was at Springbrook, and we're proud of that. What shirt do you have on there? Because you've got a cool shirt
I
on
have
too.
a very cool shirt that was hand delivered to me in first period by the mailman. A Wistia shirt.
That's pretty cool.
From
What
the
other
awesome
what
people
other
at Wistia.
students get Wistia shirts brought to them delivered in class? Folks, we salute you.
I think it's time to move on.
Do we want to move on to the last little section of our show
I think
here?
it is, and we're just going to cut back into the song as the transition goes. Oh, and what a perfect spot to cut into. That's enough.
Okay.
It's time for the recommend section of the show. The section of the show where we
I'm just going to recommend before we start that all of the students in the back of the room stop talking.
Oh, I like that recommendation. +1.
Okay, sorry, you were saying.
The recommend section is the section of the show where we highlight a thing, a product, or something that we use on a daily basis, not necessarily web related, but it tends to be because we're nerds. I'll go first because we already touched on it. The Hard Boiled Web Design book by the one and only Andy Clark. It's in full color and it's in high quality. And
I think you said that you were going to
love
read
it.
it to us in full.
I was,
as
starting
the final
with-
part of the episodes.
It was okay. And cool people are mentioned in here. For example, David Sandro and Include. The beer campsite is featured in here, I believe. It's high quality. It's in color. The code's well documented, and it's just not only pretty, but it highlights the cool things you can do with CSS3.
And again, it's really well written. It's
Hard
an enjoyable
boiled web
read.
design.
It's so good.
It's
Good
got that
ideas.
Andy Clark kind of feel to it.
It does.
That's my
Just enough
recommendation.
arrogance and a little bit of I'm right. Really am, and we love it. He also, he's got this new thing out that we can't talk about now because we don't have enough time to really get into it. But it's like actionable or action. It's a framework for making CSS3 animations and slides. It's like
Really?
Flash for CSS3.
Because Flash is dead. No, before we move on, Dan Rubin, a very great presenter and designer, his comment on the book is, button your coat and pull down your hat. Hard-boiled web design hits hard, right where it hurts, and will give you the confidence to pull the bars off the windows and build websites today using every last bit of CSS3 and HTML5.
Well, there you have it. That's a great recommend. I'd encourage you folks to go out and get that book. It also, I don't know if he's still doing it, but it came with a poster when I got it. That was pretty cool.
It was. What's your recommendations, Mr. Gordon?
Mine is a tool for the Mac, Mac only, and for those who are on PCs, I'm sorry.
They don't listen to this show.
No, that's true. That's true. Good point. So all of you Mac listeners out there, there's a tool called the Better Touch tool.
Oh, wait a...
And this was actually, you told me about this, and it has so saved my productivity. And what it allows you to do is, first of all, be able to drag a window to the side of the screen, and it half minimizes it and locks it over to the side.
Like Windows 7. I'll give Windows 7 that.
And allows you to do swipes and taps and have them be shortcuts. So when I 3-finger swipe, it moves to a space, or in your case, it puts a window off to the side. When I double tap in the upper right-hand corner, it opens up Chrome. Just some really cool things, and I think I've always felt limited by just a keyboard and mouse in terms of a user interface, and I think the more swipe and the more intuitive our user experience gets with computers, the faster we're going to be, and the more we're going to be able to really accomplish the stuff that we want to quickly.
Yeah, and one cool feature about that software is they have a shortcut that you can set for revealing hidden files in Finder, which is always useful. No more having to go through terminals to do that. So if you have .ht access or .getignore or something, you need to access that. There's a quick shortcut to switch between that in Better Touch.
Okay, good.
Cool.
You have to dodge
So I
all
think
that.
John French, stop it.
Are we done?
I think on that note, we could go ahead and wrap things up.
Well, for required listening to Brief episode 36, thank you all for tuning in. It's spring break, so we'll take a week break. For Kyle Cotter, this is Kyle. Wait, for Zach Gordon, this is Kyle Cotter saying thank you and see you next week.
That's
2
me.
weeks.
Keep on learning, folks.
The lazy song fits this well.
Oh my gosh,
Spring break dance.
I actually heard this song.
See you later, folks.